I move to open the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. As always, we are hybrid mode. In the event of a technology issue, we will continue in this room, and the meeting can be accessed on MCTV after the fact. Business item number 1 is a bylaw change. This is intended to clarify our wetland delineation proposed. We have a proposed definition. I'm going to read in the changes. The first, wetland delineation means, quote, the procedures used to establish, close quote, that is the addition, a line connecting wetland delineation flags and/or applicable test plot which defines the upper limit of a plant community where 50% or more of the individual plants are included in facultative wetland or obligate wetland categories in the national list of plant species that occur in wetlands. The next change is an addition to this paragraph, which reads, in addition to vegetation, a delineation methodology shall include an evaluation of hydrology and soils using Mass DEP's Massachusetts Handbook for Delineation of Bordering Vegetated Wetlands, 2nd edition, September 2022, or the latest edition of said handbook when the delineation was accomplished. Wetlands shall be delineated by the applicant's qualified consultant using this handbook. And further, we are adding to this sentence, when the boundary is not presumed accurate or to overcome the lack of clear and credible evidence, additional information shall be submitted to the commission, quote, by a qualified consultant selected by the commission and paid for by the applicant, end quote. The submittal by the commission's qualified consultant may necessitate the applicant's qualified consultant to submit additional information. And lastly, we are adding an additional sentence. The commission maintains sole discretionary authority relative to a determination that a wetland delineation is accurate. So I believe everyone has had a chance to go over this prior to tonight's meeting. Any discussion or?
I guess I might have, maybe I'm missing some simplistic question. So the original wetland delineation means a line. So I'm thinking, you have two spots and you're connecting it with a line, whether it's a real line or a line, the golf ball's out of bound line. Now it says it's the procedures used to establish a line. So those are procedures or a process, the steps. But is there a line?
Well, there's still a line. Wetland delineation, I'm reading the proposed form. Wetland delineation means the procedures used to establish a line connecting wetland delineation flags and/or applicable blah 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 test plots.
All right, so it goes beyond just the procedures. It's procedures and a line is established.
Is established
not
by
just
the procedure.
Okay, all right. So now I see something concrete there. So I was hung up on the word procedures and wondering, okay, where is a line come into it? But okay, so it's procedures that establish
the line.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry.
All right.
Any other comments?
No, just basically it brings us in line with the state definitions, so.
Okay.
Right. The new wetland delineation handbook is putting more weight on hydrology and soils and not just, we tend to rely a lot on plants, but that is no longer the state's point of view. So if there is no other discussion here, I move that we vote to, to adopt the proposed definition for our Chapter 505. I'm sorry. I move that we vote to forward this to our next meeting and advertise so that we will have an opportunity to hear public comment. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will take that up next meeting. Our next business item is the Recreational Trails Committee and Jeff Wilson regarding Carolina Hill Bike Trail.
All right, I'm actually much taller than this. I feel like a midget. So I'm not Jeff Wilson, and Mark isn't Jeff Wilson. Jeff had a family obligation that he had to tend to, but he did speak with Liz earlier today, and at the Carolina Hill, which you're seeing right now, the RTC, we work with Mark and Jeff on the mountain bike race, on general trail cleaning and maintenance, not only of Furnace Brook, but other sites. And Jeff would like to fix this trail that's clearly eroded with some help from NEMA, New England Mountain Bike Association, and Friends of Wampatuck State Forest, who those members who actually take classes on how to build switchbacks and trails to proper construction to eliminate as much erosion as possible. And it's, clearly a danger right now for those on horses or bikes or jogging, anyone that's using the trail. And I'll let Mark describe the process, what they want to look for, and why the proposed trail is where it is. So I'll let Mark do that.
Okay. Well, if you park at the 3A, going to Carolina Hills, you can go up a short trail, you go left or you go right. If you go right, pretty soon you see this washout. It's a lot steeper than it looks in the picture. It's a steep, short incline, big ditch down the middle. So the proposal is coming down the trail on the right, to do the series of switchbacks and then reconnect it to the bottom, so that it would be a good multi-use trail. Hopefully eliminate any future erosion controls like this one washed out.
Just for purposes of clarity, can you better describe exactly where that parking area is so that we all know?
Yes, if you north on 3A, just it's you have the Carolina Hills Women's Shelter on the right, maybe about a half mile up. There's a little parking area for 5-6 cars.
Okay.
Right there on 3A.
So, coming north, we're on the right side.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
I am not terribly familiar with the trails or in this area. Does anyone have any input here?
I don't have any input per se, but I just had a question on this eroded trail here. Is that when you first come in?
When you park, you go through the gate, you go about maybe 50 yards, and there's a T intersection. The left goes up to the power lines. This, if you take a right, you go maybe another 50 yards, and it goes straight up.
And then it goes straight up?
The ridge.
And would anything be done with this particular eroded trail?
Would be closed off. I don't know if you could speak to.
And then just left alone,
Left
or?
alone, or
Yeah, we'll probably just leave it alone. In the past, when we've worked with conservation, Bill Grafton, we've had some much larger structures actually to block traffic from using trails that more or less, there are rogue trails. This one, we can, as the new trail is developed, we can take some brush that's laying on the side and put over it and around it, make it a little bit more difficult to get into it. And so it would clearly look like there are two options there: go on the nice, easy trail, or go on the trail where you shouldn't be. And most people would opt for the trail that's a little bit nicer and newer, cleaned up.
Jeff also mentioned that there might be a boulder in that area that they can relocate to that trailhead, so people don't go down that steep trail.
Okay.
Yeah, but he wouldn't really know until they started to clear that and
Got out
see what
there.
they could use
Okay.
for material.
Mike is on, isn't he?
Yep.
Mike, do you have any comments?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I was trying to speak there for a minute, it wasn't allowing me to. So I went out on site here with Jeff Wilson, probably the better part of a month ago. We took a look at this trail. It's very steep, as you can see. It's full of like loose debris and cobble from being washed out. It goes straight up that grade there. So to counter that, Jeff talked about doing almost like switchbacks up that slope to kind of prevent it from being so steep, and so you can also see people coming up and down the path to improve safety. We also talked about the possibility of putting up a split rail fence at various points of that old trail, just so people don't use it anymore.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a general idea of the location, and I think this is fine. I suggest when you bring these things in front of us, if we can see the trails on the assessor's maps or something like that, so we can, have a couple, landmarks to be able to identify where it is a little better. I mean, the parking area, that tells me more or less where it is, but that's all. I generally, I think it's a good idea, and, you can just use, debris from the area to block it off, and if it becomes a problem, we'll go to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, I think your best efforts to block this would be good,
Yes.
so that, the daredevils don't think it's
Some people like a challenge.
exactly, especially a lot of mountain
Yeah.
bikers, so. Any comment, John, or?
No?
Okay. In that case, I move that we vote to allow the alteration of this trail, ultimately its closure, and the building of switchbacks to mitigate the steepness and erosion issue. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll make sure that when it's complete, we'll send you some pictures so you can see
Great,
that.
that'd be good. Thanks, Ned. All right, B3, Smith and Sons, 795 and 887 Plain Street. Is anyone here? I don't see anyone. So we have been asked to investigate whether or not the operation, the mulch operation at the back of the property may be expanded out to the 25-foot buffer. It is currently held at the 50-foot buffer, which was the request when this was permitted in 2018. I just want to open this up for discussion. I guess I'll ask Mike first. We did a site visit there, and Bert, John, and I attended. Mike was there. Liz was there. Do Either Mike or Liz, do you have any comments before we discuss?
Yeah, there was a white pine that was cut that was specifically called out. It
No,
might not be-
no,
Mike,
we're
we're
not,
on
we're
Plain
not there
Street.
yet, Mike. We're on,
Smith and Sons.
we're on Smith and Sons.
Oh, we're looking at different things. No comment. Sorry about that.
Okay. Do you have anything,
A lot
Liz?
easier way.
No, no comment to you guys.
I have some concerns about moving out to the 25. I believe there is evidence, I can't produce it right now, but the closer you get to 25-foot buffer, the greater the potential degradation of a wetland area. When this was permitted, they asked for 50. They have the 50. They have maintained it beautifully. It's a very clean operation, but I am hesitant to widen this out to the 25-foot all around there.
Agreed.
I'm curious to hear anyone else's.
I would agree also. We walked pretty much the whole perimeter. I'm not sure if there's any area where the operation isn't going right out to the 50, but if they have the ability to expand in that way out to the 50, I would support that, but not beyond that. These are our regulations. To make a change from this would open us up to virtually everybody asking for it.
I am just going to read something from the MAC Wetlands Buffer Zone Guidebook. Buffers of less than 50 feet are more susceptible to degradation by human disturbance. In fact, no buffers of 25 feet or less were found to be functioning in a meaningful way to reduce disturbance to an adjacent wetland. And then the goal of the Commission's review is not to protect the buffer zone per se, but to identify characteristics of the buffer zone that are relevant to the protection of the adjacent resource area. My opinion here is that going to the 25 would allow for possible encroachment into the function of the wetland there.
And it's already so close to the highway and the wild space there, there's only so much,
Right.
as far as if it's a wildlife corridor, which I don't know if it is or not, if it's used for that, but, you're just taking more away from that space. But yeah, I read through that same paragraph before I came here as well, so.
I have one comment. It just seemed like it was a bit steep over there.
Steep,
Yeah. I don't know if you guys observed that as well, but on the sides where this 50,
right.
the 25 to 50 would be, it just seemed like it was a
It
bit
dropped off
dropped.
fairly
Yeah.
steeply.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I would agree with especially by the infiltration basin portion of the site. It did get pretty steep going into the wetlands.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner
yeah,
O'Donnell?
this is always one of the tough ones, and I wish, I was surprised the Smiths weren't here
Yeah,
tonight.
I am too.
Because we did the site visit, and, I mean, it's a well-maintained, well-managed sites, there's all kinds of signage. They really did a great job in protecting, the 50-foot buffer. And so it makes it tough, and reading the notes, and this is why I wish they were here. We were back reading the minutes, and it was pretty clear from the minutes that Kevin Grady, who was representing the Smiths, was asked by Bill, and they said they were interested in having the line approved as on the plan. So my question was, why did you ask for 25? When you submitted the plan? They could have asked for 25, they probably would have got, I wasn't here, but
No,
they may very well have been I think Bert's the only one who was here, they may very well have been approved for 25. And a lot of the work they did in terms of protecting the environment seems to be working, very well. The soil testing they did was, there was no groundwater. They went down to 19 feet. There was no issues with runoff and catch basins. And I don't know if we talked about, there was supposed to be a gutter line that was supposed to be maintained on the periphery. I don't remember seeing that, or if that, has been maintained. But I guess, according to the minutes, when they were asked during the meeting, do they want us to go with 50? They were pretty clear that 50 is what they were going with. So I don't know. It's a tough one to turn down. I don't know why now. He explained, I think there were business reasons why he wanted to go to 25
That
to
was my question.
expand some of the operation back there and for more storage.
Once again, sorry to interrupt.
No,
To be consistent with our rules, a newly developed lot, we maintain the 50-foot setback. If you have previously developed lots with previous structures and previously disturbed areas, then we go to 25. So like the front part of that, where there used to be a sawmill, where his buildings are now, he has the 25 there. But when he gets back into the area where the mulch is, that was newly developed.
newly developed.
That was all woods
So that was-
Right.
10 years ago.
So new rules new regs were applied to that.
Exactly, and
Okay.
that's my point, that we need to maintain consistency.
Okay. Then I think I understand that. It's just, when you see a well-run,
I agree with
well-maintained,
you. It's-
very clean,
it is.
very
It's-
environmentally conscious, it's hard to say, but these are the rules. But that's why they have rules and regulations, so.
I am also loath to change a decision that was previously made. We say, gee, maybe they would have given him 25, maybe they wouldn't have.
Well, I think Bert
yeah,
just
and I
explained to
think
me, I
Bert-
wasn't here, he was the only one of the commissioners that was there, explained why it was 50 and not 25.
Yeah, 25,
Yeah,
so.
and the minutes are pretty clear that they said they had no interest in going inside of 50. So, and I think in the minutes, it's stated twice. So
Yeah.
that was the situation then, so I guess it's the situation now.
Well, sometimes we don't always like our decisions, but we're here to maintain the resource areas. So in this instance, I move that we vote to deny the request to expand to the 25-foot buffer. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And our last business item is Brewster Road. And I see Miss Croa is on
She's on
Zoom,
Yep.
and we have, Attorney Creed here. So, if you would like to present?
Thank you. First, I'd like to make sure that you all have my September 10th memo and the arborist's tree evaluation, which was submitted today. I want to start out to say that within, I think, an hour of the abutter's complaint, I spoke with Mr. Seal with regard to what had occurred at the lot, which is now designated as 47 Brewster Road by the assessors. I was assured that there would be a site visit and that we would be present. That never happened. Had it happened, we might not be here tonight. Setting that aside, we did everything in accordance with the order of conditions. We asked for a pre-construction meeting to do the lot clearing that was necessary to construct Chilton Street and the grade to drain swale and the planting of the 4 black willows that are shown on the plan that was approved by this commission. While we were there, myself, Kevin Sealand, my cousin Jeff, who is assisting Lynn Ann Murphy, who's the owner of the property, and his wife, Ann, were all present. So was Liz Anosha, your conservation agent. We walked the entire property with the conservation agent. All of us pointed out the areas within which we were going to be doing the work, or where the work was going to be done, including the eastern white pine, which to all of our observations was dead. There was only 2 branches on the tree that had pine needles. The rest of the tree was debarked and not in good shape. We left that meeting with a firm understanding with your conservation agent that that tree could come down. And that's the reason the tree came down. Period. So, if we're here now on a cease and desist because it violates special condition 1 of the order of conditions, then the question is, what's the purpose of the pre-construction meeting if we're there to clarify what needed to happen to build a grade-to-drain swale with a 3-to-1 slope and plant 4 black willows in the right-of-way of Chilton Street? And all at the request and for the benefit of the abutter to deal with the drainage issues on his lot and those that occur at the intersection of Brewster and Chilton. So our position is that we did nothing wrong, that the tree, to all of our observations, was dead. The arborist's opinion, although indicating that the tree wasn't, quote, completely dead, it was certainly at best in hospice care and was on its way out. And more likely than not, once the construction began of the home, there was a significant likelihood that that tree would end up falling on the home, especially in light of the fact that the ground would have to be dug up to plant the 4 black willows that are required under your order conditions, which would have further undermined the root system, the dying root system of that eastern white pine. I think, I mean, at this point, that's our position with regard to the cease and desist. We followed the order of conditions. We walked the site, the entire site, with the conservation agent, pointed out all of the areas we intended to do work in. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. Nothing more, nothing less. And everyone's understanding was that that tree was dead and it could come down. And it did come down. And the proof of the fact that it was going to come down anyway is the arborist's opinion, Mr. Colburn out of Plymouth. And I have photos of the tree. I have photos of what a healthy eastern white pine looks like. And I have photos of what happens when a dead eastern white pine falls on a house, if the commission is interested.
Thank you. My understanding, Liz, was that there was a diseased pine,
Yes.
but it was separate from this one.
Yeah. I did the pre-construction meeting because Mike was not in the office that day. Maybe I should have pushed it off, but it's done. I didn't specifically see that white pine that was noted in the order of conditions. I didn't go look at it. But if it was diseased there were a number of trees that looked diseased over there. I'm not denying that. They did look, but there was a lot of overgrown brush over there as well. So it's hard to see through that without going through it. And I didn't go through it. And I misunderstood the plan that I was reading as well, the plan I had with me, because this plan on the screen, I didn't see that these 4 circles here were trees to be planted. I had thought that they were trees that were in the field.
I believe that originally there were cedars there,
Cedars
and
were over here.
these were,
Those are, yeah, roadside of the property.
right, that this planting plan was to mitigate for the loss
Of those trees.
of those trees. So, everybody, were you out there, Mike?
Yes, I was out there. I went out there with Agent Anoya after we received the complaint. We did, I believe it was 2 site visits out there. When I was out on site, one of the trees that was cut, one of the white pines in question, did have some rotting in the core stump that was visible. indicative that the tree was diseased and ready to come down. The other tree, I didn't notice anything that could be noticed in the stump. I'm not sure if a certified arborist had a different opinion on it, or had a report to give us regarding that tree. It's possible that it was diseased. I didn't see it before it was cut, but in close proximity to the other white pine, which was diseased, it's quite possible. Regardless, that tree is not going to grow back, so we should discuss what will be the future of that site and that area where the tree was cut.
Thank you. So we have, you believe that pine was diseased. You are not an arborist. The arborist
Yes.
did not see the tree prior to its being removed. I'm not sure it matters. The conditions specifically cited this tree, so it would seem to me that even if it was diseased, you should have come back to the commission to discuss that condition before clearing that lot.
Then what's the purpose of the pre-construction meeting with your conservation agent? I mean, that's what we did. We followed the order of conditions and addressed the issue of these trees. This tree, I'll
But
submit.
our agent, the commission decides. I think this should have come back to us.
Well, we acted in good faith based on our meeting with your conservation agent, who gave us an okay to cut the tree down. So, I mean, it's all well and good to have 20/20 hindsight and say, oh, we should have come back to the commission. But when you follow the order of conditions, you have your pre-construction meeting, and your agent says it's okay, we go forward.
Did you mean to?
Commissioners,
Ah,
I didn't mean to interrupt. Kim Crow, I represent the abutters. If I could have a minute to.
absolutely. Mhm.
Great, thank you. So, just for the record, my name is Kim Crow, Baker Braverman, Barbadoro, and I'm here on behalf of Mark Ox, who's also logged into the meeting. So, the pine was going back to the order of conditions that references that pine. It was a lengthy hearing process. There was a lot of information. There was a lot of negotiation to make sure that the plan worked for the neighborhood, for our clients, and it was a design that was approved by the commission. That white pine was a negotiated aspect of it. And in addition to the white pine, the special condition says that there shall be no clearing of vegetation to the east of the grass swale. That whole area that Attorney Creed is saying, oh, it needed to be cleared, that's not shown on the plans as being cleared. It was our understanding that whole time that the area, and of course I don't know what the commission's belief is, but based on that condition, I have to think that the commission understood that area not to be cleared also. And quite contrary to what Attorney Creed is saying, this is not just a, oops, I saw it looked diseased, so we cut it down. This appears to be a direct, egregious breach of the order of conditions. All that vegetation was in the 100 feet. It was marked on the order of conditions as not being cleared. Even my client had gone out and put a sign on the pine when he saw some activity starting saying, don't take this tree down, and it came down anyway. So for them to come up here and say otherwise, I think it's completely disingenuous. And so what we'd be asking for the commission to do is to issue a cease and desist, require the applicant to come up with a replication plan that's approved by the commission and actually put that replication into place, because I believe that this was a direct violation. They can't come in and say, well, we disregarded the order of conditions and the parts on there because the conservation agent didn't tell us during the site walk that we were wrong. That's just not the way that it works.
If I may respond,
Go ahead.
since I've been called both disingenuous and my presentation egregious, which borders on calling me a liar. I'd like to read the tree evaluation into the record, just so that we all understand what Mr. Colburn has opined. Summary, all opinions are based on photographs provided by the client and a site visit to inspect the area after the tree was removed. The photographs show excessive interior branch deadwood. The bottom 30 feet, estimated, show to be dead due to a lack of sunlight and competing bittersweet vines. The root zone area appears to be impacted by seasonal water infiltration. That water infiltration would be saltwater infiltration, which is not good for eastern white pines. The outer canopy of the tree sparsely holds only the current year's needles. This typically is caused by a saturated root zone, needle blight, or wood-boring insects. One or all of these factors will result in tree mortality. It is my opinion that the tree should be removed for safety reasons alone. The species is highly susceptible to blowover when the root system is wet and in high-wind coastal areas. The overall health of this tree was in an accelerated rate of decline due to multiple contributing factors. And it wasn't that we were looking for Ms. Anoya to tell us we were wrong. We were asking permission to clear the area that was necessary to create a 3-to-1 slope grade-to-drain swale and plant 4 bittersweet willows, as required by your order of conditions. We weren't there tricking Ms. Anoya not to tell us that we're wrong. We were asking permission. We showed her the areas. We showed her the trees. And we walked away with permission to do the work that we did. Plain and simple. That's why we're here tonight, because we asked permission. And now the abutter wants to punish us for asking permission by not coming back to the commission. Well, Ms. Anoya could have told us to come back to the commission. She didn't. So we felt we were in the right, that we could go ahead and do the work that was done on the site. I don't think we should be punished for doing the right thing but having the wrong result occur. And I certainly don't think that a cease and desist order to prevent the entirety of the project from going forward is necessitated. We have, on September 25th, Seal Incorporation is going to be there to put in Chilton Street, which is the first part, the first 50 feet. That has nothing to do with this area. If you want to cease and desist for us not to put in the grade-to-drain swale that will be attached to the end of Chilton Street, which would address the drainage issues of the abutter, Mr. Oakes, that's fine. We can wait as long as he understands that that drainage isn't going to be addressed until such time as we can build that grade-to-drain swale.
I do question some of the clearing on that side. I was on the commission when this was being adjudicated, and when I went out to the site, I was surprised at the amount of clearing into the Chilton Street area. I would suggest, other comments from commission?
No, I'm still trying to understand the same thing. My expectation was that all the clearing and grading and everything was within the erosion barrier. You know, that'd be the purpose of having that. You know, the fact that the clearing took place outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little confused about that. But,
If you look at your plan, all 4 of the black willows are outside that area. They can't be planted unless you clear that area. You need equipment to go in and plant the black willows. That was the purpose of the prime purpose of our meeting, other than having the required pre-construction meeting with Ms. Anoja, was to address the issue of how we would do these things and what area needed to be cleared in order to accomplish those things.
Yeah,
The plan you approved shows those black willows outside that area.
Yes, it does, but it doesn't show that we intended that area to be cleared.
Well, I mean, unless you want me to plant seeds to grow a black willow, I mean, you have to plant a tree. In order to plant a tree, you need to bring a piece of equipment in.
You don't have to scrape the ground clear to plant a tree. Here's what I would suggest. I'm sorry, did you have...
No, I'm just following the storylines.
Okay, number one, the DEP sign has gone missing. The DEP sign needs to get back. I would suggest, okay, if the road is scheduled for the 25th of September,
September 25th.
I think having the road work done is a really good thing
Thank you.
for everyone concerned. It will also define exactly where that is. The swale needs to be rebuilt. There's really no swale there now. It's,
Well, there was no swale. The purpose
We
of the
then-
clearing was to provide an area so that the swale could be built.
so
With
we
a-
need the
with-
swale to be built.
With a 3-to-1 grade. You have to understand, to do a 3-to-1 grade, you've got to grade back from the swale. It's not just a 2-foot hole in the ground.
I would like to see the road get in, the swale get built, the willows get planted. I want to see additional planting for the removal of the pine. And I want the erosion control in place as soon as possible. And I would like conservation markers to be placed before any further work is done around the perimeter of the property.
That sounds reasonable.
Are you,
I
Are you okay
agree
with that?
Just trying to take it all in. You call for a planting plan around,
Yeah, so
additional plantings
that's,
on the,
that's the vague part.
okay, it is.
So specificity,
I-
so how do you,
okay,
what's
so
the
we've got
mitigation for taking that tree
The
down?
the 4 willows are in. I would like to see a professional suggest a planting plan. I'm not going huge here, but mitigation for that pine in addition to the willows. We have all kinds of planting information and,
Yeah, we have suggested planted lists that work.
you know,
here
we
for
we
shrubs,
can,
trees.
I would say you can let us suggest additional plantings, or if you would prefer, have your client come to us with a
I will
professional-
talk with the conservation agent and get an idea. Given the arborist report, obviously, we won't be replanting any kind of a white pine.
No, I
Planting
wouldn't.
something that's
suggest
more
that.
akin to a black willow that
Right.
will be able to tolerate the water and the potential salinity on occasion of this site.
I just want, yeah, some mitigation for the fact that
Sure.
that tree went. Ms. Crowa, are you amenable to that, or?
Yes, that sounds like a reasonable suggestion. Thank you, commissioners. I would just ask, as far as the planting plan, that we have an opportunity, if that's done outside of a public hearing, to participate and review that plan also and provide any comments.
Whatever is determined, we will send to you for review.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will send this to you in writing. DEP sign, erosion control, build the swale, and mitigation plantings.
If I may ask, when were you out? Because the last time I was at the property, both of the DEP signs were there.
I was there on Monday,
Monday.
and there were no signs. I don't know, maybe in the storm, or, I don't know.
It's possible. They were attached to one, in two different angles to one post.
I
No
I
post
couldn't
there at
see
all?
anything,
Okay.
and I walked the whole area.
I live down the street. I will check it on the.
Okay, take a look.
Yep.
Maybe I missed them, but I couldn't find them.
I made them, so
So-
I'll find them.
well, one final question. To grade properly for that swale, does that erosion control need to be relocated?
In all likelihood, yes. I'm going to have to talk with Terry McGovern with regard to, getting you an idea of what it's going to take to put that grade to drain swale in with the 3-to-1 slope.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a problem with that, do we?
No.
To push the erosion control out?
If that's what has to happen to successfully get the proper slope, yeah. And are those conservation markers on that plan?
They are. They're
They
these
are.
little squares
Yeah,
Back
okay.
stairs
I
along
thought so,
the
I just wanted to
line.
confirm that.
There aren't any on the Chilton Street side, but along the
Well-
other back of the property.
Let's, until the Chilton side is constructed, but I would like to see them on the rest of the property.
Okay,
Okay,
great. So it'll be clear that the work on the 25th can go forward.
I believe I can say yes to that. There's no reason to
I support
hang
that.
them up. Yeah,
Great,
yes.
thank you.
And just with respect to the erosion control, particularly where the Chilton Road is going in, that's right up on my client's property, so we would just want to make sure that that doesn't come any closer in those close proximity areas.
No, I think we're speaking of the area around where the proposed, the black willows are going.
where the black willows are,
So
yeah.
that's within the street, not up closer to the property line.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. The,
Please,
black
please,
willows-
I name and address, please, for the record.
Yeah, Jeff Creed. Those black willows grow to be 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's room to put anything else with those, so that,
I
that'll be
know
a
they get big
consideration.
and they grow fast,
They do, right.
but in the interim, I would like to think about having something else in there.
And there was another comment made that we cleared to the east. We didn't clear to the east. It's not our land. We cleared to the north of Chilton, just to get enough room for Kevin Sealan's equipment to make it through there. He said, I need room to get equipment. It can't be 5 feet. So when we talked with Liz, we walked that border and said Chilton is about 40 feet wide. We're gonna cut about 25 feet of that, including that tree, because Kevin needs room to be able to do that, to put those trees, because they grow huge. So I just want the commission to know, I know we want to put more stuff in there, and I'm agreeable if we can do it. We just want it to fit.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
And that's why we're gonna, step back and.
And those
take a look.
DEP signs were there. We've had problems with some of these neighbors. Those DEP signs were there.
Oh, I know they were.
Okay.
I know they were, but
Okay.
when I was there, they were not.
Okay?
I have plenty of spray cans, I can make more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay. And I just wanted to confirm, sorry, one more point on the erosion control. I know it was the erosion control we were talking about. I just wanted to confirm that the swale itself would be staying in the same location, that was clear.
We made no changes.
that should be clear. That has not, been impacted. So we will lift the cease and desist order.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that concludes the business items. Our first hearing is SE 423020A. This was advertised, so I will read it in. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 20th, to amend the order of conditions filed by Thomas Lauer and Stephanie Bauman. And we have,
Good evening.
I know you're here representing,
Good evening. Will Eads from Drone Totem Morgan. I'm joined by Greg Morse from Morse Engineering on behalf of the applicants. Adam Brodsky could not attend this evening, so he sends his regrets. As I understand it, there's been discussions about reopening this hearing and amending to remove the condition. I apologize, my notes I did not include a note as to which numbered condition it was. But the condition having to do with binding the second property in perpetuity. And yes, so my understanding is we're here to reopen the hearing and to have that condition, the order of conditions amended to remove that condition.
So if I may, I want to put some context on this. This is an application to build a dock, and the commission, a variance was necessary for this dock. The condition, which is under question here, is D1. The commission has voted to approve the requested variance from 505-304.1E1 and 505-304.1E5 for the following reasons within the following special conditions. The commission's concerns about the adverse impacts and cumulative adverse impacts of multiple docks that are expressed in these regulations. So the commission voted to approve a variance. We had an error in filing on a timely basis, which led to the applicants to file a superseding order of conditions with DEP. On June 9th, Vice Chair O'Donnell, myself, Attorney Brodsky, Greg Morse, and DEP met at the site to look at the conditions. After that, it was decided that the commission would revisit our condition. What we had hoped for was, and I will read this, the commission finds that the proposed alternative of a single dock shared with the property at 60 Preston Terrace offered by the applicant is acceptable. Therefore, the commission finds that this proposed single shared dock may be constructed with full and complete rights to its use by the owners of both 46 and 60 Preston Terrace until a transfer of ownership of either property occurs, at which time these rights for the benefit of 60 Preston Terrace shall expire. An appropriate deed restriction stating this permit provision shall be filed with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds after approval by this commission and Marshfield's Town Council. The intent of the commission was for this condition to remain in perpetuity, effectively limiting these two properties to one dock. Given our failure to issue our orders of conditions on a timely basis and the superseding order of condition, we have reviewed this and we asked the applicant if they would be amenable to having this order without perpetuity, only while these two owners were there. Unfortunately, we have been told they are no longer amenable to this. So, our original language, the permitted dock will be a shared dock with full and complete rights to its use by the owners of both 46 and 60. These rights are for the benefit of 60 Preston Terrace and shall terminate upon transfer of ownership of either property. We are unfortunately not able to maintain that condition. So I am afraid, reluctantly, that we will need to remove the second part of D1. We are going to have to drop the paragraph that says, the commission finds that the proposed dock and pier alternative offered by the applicant does not conform to the performance standard listed in 505.304-1.E4. Therefore, the commission finds that this proposed dock may only be constructed if 505.304-1.E4 4 is conformed to and only one dock is allowed between the two properties in perpetuity, and that the appropriate deed restriction stating this permit provision is filed with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds after approval by this commission and Marshfield's Town Council. That will need to be struck, unfortunately. Any comment? It was the intention of the commission to be very mindful of cumulative impacts that we are seeing in dock construction. However, we will have to not include this. So I move that we strike the paragraph that I just read from the conditions of the 0 Ferry Street, file number SE 423020 for 0 Ferry Street. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is 116 Beach Street. And, let's see. Oh, I'm going to read continuations. No, you know what? Let's go forward with this and then.
Thanks.
In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, in order to consider the notice of intent filed by the Nisbets. And the hearing officer is Bert.
Thank you. Liz, can you confirm taxes, abutters, and the EP number?
Yes.
Thank
Yep,
you.
all set.
I see Mr. Holmes, are you presenting?
I am. Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes. Along with me this evening is Brad Nisbet for his property at 116 Beach Street. The property is located at the corner of 116 Beach Street and Naomi Road. It's a single-family home with a paved driveway, a well-maintained lawn, rear deck, and the property is located within the AE flood zone. There aren't any vegetated wetlands or buffer zones on or near the site, but we are within the coastal flood zone. So the application that we submitted is to raise the house on a new FEMA-compliant foundation so that the first floor is above the flood zone. There's no proposed increase in the structure footprint. The existing deck that's abutting the house would be removed and replaced in the same footprint after construction. And there aren't any other site improvements other than bringing the house into compliance with FEMA and adding flood vents to ensure we're in compliance with FEMA. So with that, I'll bring it back to the commission because it is a fairly simple project.
Thank you. Liz, have you got any comments on this one?
Nope, my only question was about the deck, but that was answered. What was gonna happen to that? It's just gonna be put back after the house is elevated, so that was my only concern.
Yeah, that was my own question as well. Everything else on this project was pretty straightforward.
I would possibly suggest if you could relocate some of the plants that are there, then
The
that'd be great.
existing ones?
Yeah, if you can.
I'm hoping to try to salvage them.
Salvage them,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
They look pretty healthy, so.
Yep.
We have already filed the floodplain permit that's underway and met with Andrew Stewart and the zoning, Brad has been in front of the zoning board and that's been completed.
It looks like the lot is dead flat, so there's no grading, nothing anticipated.
Right.
I see no pervious driveways or anything like that. And
Right.
there's no plans to put anything like that in, correct?
Go ahead.
Sorry, to keep it as is, where there's lawn, there's a paved driveway, and then there's a gravel. The rest in the front is all gravel. We would keep that.
In that case, I'd like to open it up to the other commissioners. I think it's pretty straightforward.
I agree.
No?
Okay, nothing from the commissioners. Is there anybody in the public, either on Zoom or within the room, that has comment on this hearing? I see nothing. I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and issue special conditions. Liz, anything other than standard?
General conditions 1 to 18, prior to construction is number 5 and number 2, during construction, number 11, after construction, number 1, erosion control, number 1, and an elevation certificate.
Sounds good. Have I got a second?
Second,
Second is Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to open 140 Atwell, but we won't be hearing this tonight because there was an abutter notification glitch. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, to consider the notice of intent filed by Bulis at 140 Atwell Circle. But as I say, the abutter notification went awry, so that hearing is now open, but we will vote to continue that to, what are we on?
October 4th.
October 4th. So I move that we continue 140 Atwell Circle to October 4th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
In addition to that, SE 423051, 3 South Street, I move that we continue that to October 4th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
SE 423024, Maglio, 146 Dakota Street, I move to continue to 10-4. Second, please?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 0 Main Street, SE 423056, I move to continue to October 4th. All, second, please?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423015, 60 Foster Ave. I move to continue to 10-4. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. RDA 2321, 0 Assumption Road, is continued until 10-4. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And RDA 2312, Recreational Trails, 172 South River, continued to 10-4. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any word on 128 Highland?
Yeah, Dana was out of town. He'll get it to me when he gets back. I talked to him today.
So we're going to continue him.
Yeah.
RDA 2320, 128 Highland, continued to 10-4. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And that concludes the public hearings. Now we have certificates of compliance. Okay. First up is SE 422717, which is the gazebo and the ADA path at Peter Igo Park. I move that we vote to issue a certificate of completion with ongoing conditions for the maintenance of the ADA compliant path and gazebo. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2919. I think we need to wait for the final elevation certificate on this. That seems to be the only thing missing, but I'm going to move to table this. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2923, 162 Bay Avenue. We are going to table this. I move to table it. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 42 2995, 21 Hartford Road. And I move that we vote to issue a certificate of completion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, SE 42 2996, 16 Wilson Road. I move that we vote to issue the certificate of completion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That concludes our business. I move to close the meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission for September 20th, 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, I'm sorry, I did.
No, John Griffin, 21 Hartford, thank you for the
Okay.
completion. And Liz and Mike, I just wanted, I came here in good faith the last time that we solved this problem. I purchased a property on Mayflower Way off of Oregon. It was a foreclosure 4 years ago, and when I bought it, it had a condition. I didn't know what that meant until I had this. So when you see my face again, I don't want you to think I'm a rogue resident here trying to cause more problems. I'm really just trying to solve the last problem that I have with this other property that we own. Liz is helping with that. There's a couple of engineering things, topography and stuff that will close it
Okay.
out. But the point is, I didn't want you to think I'm one of those reoccurring nightmares. I'm really here to just say
Oh, don't worry.
thank you, okay? And I do appreciate it. They've been great to work with, and so thanks.
We won't put you on our no-fly list.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I moved to close the meeting. Did I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned.